We are dominating in the tech field, and we are certainly dominating in certain aspects of tech. Like, America is still an industry leader in key sectors. That's not wrong. It doesn't matter. It's no longer the singular hegemonic power player. That's simply what I'm talking about. And a big part of why we're no longer the hegemonic power player, even in the field, in like tech or commodities, consumer products, things, services, is also because of a deep focus on short-term profit seeking. Like, short-term profit seeking also creates a negative incentive structure where many of these corporations only care about their quarterly earnings reports and how their actions reflect on the stock price in general. And that also is putting America behind global competition coming from China. It is a very interesting predicament. But what I'm talking about here is foreign policy. I'm not even talking about like tech leadership. I'm talking specifically about America and the way that America used to operate. Our allies like Israel and our adversaries like Russia are taking note of the little power that the United States of America has, as long as they have the backing of a very powerful global competitor like China. Even if China itself, with respect to Russia, even if China itself is not an active participant in the same way that like America is with Ukraine, the fact that China is now seen as a global competitor that can still keep you going no matter what you do, as you are attacking a foreign nation. The fact that China exists out there in the periphery and can say like, look, we're not fully on board with everything that Russia is doing, but like, we're kind of on board with it. You know what I mean? We're just going to let them do whatever they want to do, which is kind of the Chinese position at this point, right? If that alone is enough for Russia to be able to resist American dominance, if that alone is enough for Russia to say like, yeah, we're going to get all of our maximalist positions we won over in the battlefield, that's a terrifying prospect for America enjoyers, I think, for those who have enjoyed the age of America.
We've heard a lot in the past week or so, because when Vladimir Putin talks about root causes, in his eyes, that is NATO's eastward expansion. It's essentially Kremlin code for saying that our security concerns need to be met, and for Ukraine never to join NATO. And I think he was probably also talking there about Russia's desire not to have any foreign troops there, any troops from NATO countries acting as peacekeepers. So it seems like Russia's red lines are intact. And the reason why Vladimir Putin is so reluctant to sign up to a straight ceasefire, of course, is because he feels he doesn't have to whilst they have the military advantage.
Yeah, Putin made Trump wait for the call. Classic power move. Putin is meant to be seeking the Trump around now, but he's talking to a room full of oligarchs instead. Instead, if he's going to be late, Putin waves off the question. Asked if he's going to be late, Putin waves off the question and says not to listen to his spokesman.
Заявлением Дмитрия Сергеевича Пескова ваш разговор должен до 18 часов состояться.
By the way, questions like that with Vladimir Putin are asked ahead of time, okay? That is a carefully crafted question coming from a spokesman who asked that question not as like a polite conversation or on accident. That was deliberate. The reason why he had his spokesman ask that question is because of the same reason why he was late to the conversation, is deliberate. And no, when it comes to diplomacy, it's not dumb alpha shit. Are you kidding me? No, there's a difference. Dumb alpha is entirely different when we're talking about global diplomacy. The reason why he's doing that is to say, I hold the cards, you don't, to Donald Trump. No, this is a part of diplomacy. He is not just aura farming or clip farming or being like an alpha bro or whatever. He is saying to Donald Trump, you look weak. You are weaker. You have to entertain, because you came out and you said, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine in a day, like an idiot, and then actively undermined Zelensky, actively undermined the Ukrainian position, even went as far as like refusing to do intelligence sharing for an extended period of time with Ukraine. You set yourself up for this. You are reliant on me coming to the table and conceding to any demands that you make. And if I have demands of my own, you have to concede on that side, because you've made assurances to your audience, to your voters, that, you know, you made assurances to your audience and your voters that you were going to end this. So now the ball's in my court.
Дональдом Трампом. Не знаю, насколько он...
Работа такая.
Ну, не знаю, сейчас надо посмотреть, что на эту фразу скажет.
By this count and the timing, the Kremlin announced earlier, Putin was 1 hour late to his call. 1 hour late. He made Donald Trump wait for an hour. He made America wait for 60 whole minutes, dude. Are you crazy? Yeah. You look at that and you think, oh, that's like alpha behavior or whatever. He's just trying to be like alpha. It's like silly. It's silliness. And in any other circumstance, you're right. In diplomacy, you're not right. Let's continue. Putin did agree to Trump's proposal for a moratorium on strikes on energy infrastructure and a maritime security initiative in the Black Sea. But Ukraine and Russia have reached agreements on that before, even though they've broken down. Ukraine is just one topic amid Russia's broader goal of normalizing relations with the U.S. They discussed a broad spectrum of directions where the U.S. and Russia could cooperate further, including mutually beneficial partnership in economics and energy. Russia and the U.S. will work together on other issues like the Middle East. There will be joint efforts to stabilize the situation in crisis zones, as well as establishing cooperation on nuclear non-proliferation and global security. The U.S. and Russia are going to host hockey matches, the NHL and KHL players. That would do a lot to end Russia's sporting isolation after invading Ukraine. He's getting bitched at, straight up. Art of the deal, baby. Vladimir Putin's going to turn around and be like, have you said thank you once? Vladimir Putin's going to turn around and have, I don't know, some national news broadcaster dress down Trump in the same way that, like, Trump had Marjorie Titan Green's boyfriend yell at Zelensky. Then turn around and say, have you said thank you once? Suka blyat, have you said thank you once? Davai, davai. White House readout says they agreed Iran should never have the ability to destroy Israel. Yeah, that's a dramatically different way to approach this. Russia and U.S. will work together on issues like the Middle East. There will be joint efforts to stabilize the situation on nuclear non-proliferation. Okay? White House's attitude on that same conversation is, they said they would destroy Iran. Yeah, he's going to have Lukashenko behave like his J.D. Vance. The leader spoke broadly about the Middle East and region's potential cooperation to prevent future conflicts. They further discussed the need to stop proliferation of strategic weapons and will engage with others to ensure the broadest possible application. The two leaders shared the view that Iran should never be in a position to destroy Israel. This is some crazy stuff, man. So I guess Iran is getting that nuclear program after all. Who knows?
The more gains Russia makes, and particularly in Russia's Kursk region, where it seems like Ukraine's incursion there is all but over. I think Vladimir Putin is very keen to get that secured and get that wrapped up before there's any kind of pause in the fighting. So I'd say that the Kremlin would be very pleased with the outcome of this call.
Because in effect, President Putin now has a little more room.
These guys saying that Iran nuclear proliferation must not happen basically means like the nuclear arms race is, on the one hand, Russia potentially giving nukes to Iran, and then America giving nukes to Saudi Arabia. Awesome, dude. Russia and Ukraine trade strikes after President Trump's call with Putin discussing a ceasefire.
The two leaders spoke for nearly 2 hours, and the call ended with Vladimir Putin agreeing to a partial ceasefire on energy and infrastructure. The White House views that as important progress, but as you mentioned this morning, both sides are launching fresh attacks.
Russia says they agreed to halt energy infrastructure strikes. White House disagrees and says they said energy and infrastructure. So Moscow and Washington already disagree about what they agreed yesterday, but we knew that already because we read the readouts coming from Moscow and then we read the readouts coming from DC. And those two readouts were on entirely different playing fields. Now, under normal circumstances, yes, you write stuff that is more favorable to your side as your takeaway from this collaborative relationship as you look to arrive at a ceasefire. But in this circumstance, the dynamic is clear. Vladimir Putin made Donald Trump wait for an hour before he even did the call. He made him actively wait, publicly wait for an hour. And I think it's because Putin understands that Trump has internal pressure in the United States of America. Okay. Trump told Zelensky today that he should run the Ukrainian nuclear power plants. I suspect that is because if the United States owns it, in his mind, one, you can maybe get a pretty penny out of it by controlling Ukrainian energy in its entirety and making a lot of money off that. But then also simultaneously, Russia won't be able to bomb it because it's now an American nuclear facility. You know, that beautiful security assurance by selling your country to the United States of America.